My name is Saket Samanta and working as a full stack developer for more than 5 years and switching so many companies, giving so many interviews. I have jotted down top 10 common full stack interview questions which you can expect in any of the interviews you're sitting for any of the companies. Now you might ask, why do I have to prepare for the interview? Right? Why do I have to go through these questions? So if you know how to answer a question well, you can present it to the interviewer better. And the better you present a particular answer, the more chances you have on clearing that particular role, right? So with that, I believe you are super energetic. Yes? So let us take down some of the questions and I will be explaining you in very depth. So I would require you to bring down your notebook and a pencil or a pen so that you write down some of these, by in your own language. Maybe you can also do some of the research by yourself and write it down. So with that, I will see you in the questions. Okay. So the very first question is a very basic question. So what are semantic elements in HTML? So when we talk about elements can be divided into two parts. It can be either semantic or it can be either semantic or it can be non-semantic. Now, what is the semantic tags and non-semantic tags? So semantic tags or non-semantic tags, they both can contain or can show some kind of content. But the difference is in that semantic tags not only shows or displays the content, but also that describes you about, let me just switch it to the black color and just make the pencil a little, smaller. Yes. So not only semantic tags, shows you the content, but also it would be describing about, what kind of content is it there. For example, like in non-semantic elements, we have two tags, like we have div and a span tag, right? So if I write any content inside a div or a span tag, by just looking at the tags, can you tell me what content will it be having? No, right? With respect to the semantic tags, when you see these tags like header, nav, main, articles, figures, or your paragraph or your heading tag, so these kind of tags would already be telling about what kind of content it will be carrying. Like headers will be carrying the headers, whereas navbar is used to build the navbar of the website. You might have a main tag used in your website, which will help, basically to tell that, yes, this is the main section of the website where main content is present. You might have some articles in it, some figures, some paragraphs, and at the end, you might also have the footer. So in a very nutshell, semantic tags are the tags which are having nothing but content, and also it is describing about the content. Wait, why do we have to do this? Right? So if you do this, not only it improves your SEO, right? What is SEO? Search engine optimization. You see websites coming in when you search coding, maybe in the website, right? In the Google, sorry. So you might see so many websites coming up. Did you ever wonder why some of the websites are at the bottom and some of the websites are at the top? The reason is SEO, search engine optimization. So if your website is optimized better, you will be able to see your website coming at the top. Not only that, maintainability, right? You can maintain your website better. Now, suppose I have some issues in the website. I can tell another developer to look into the nav tag, right? That simply makes my website more maintainable. Not only that, it also makes it easy to debug the code, right? Also, you can develop more responsive website using your semantic tags. Better CSS can be written, right? Better CSS can be written when you are writing semantic HTML. You know what particular tag to be accessed in the CSS and then what level of CSS needs to be written in that. So with that, I hope you have understood about the very first question and I want you to jot these answers down. So with that, we'll move to the next question. Yes. The next question is, what is the difference between your block and inline elements? Right. So elements can be divided into various hierarchies or various categories. So one of the category over here is nothing but block type and inline type elements. Now let us first of all differentiate between what is a block type and inline type. So if I talk about a block type element, okay, so block type elements are nothing but elements which take up, okay, remember this, elements which take up complete width of the parent, complete width of parent tag. Okay, so example of such example of such tags are nothing but you have a paragraph tag, heading tag, all the list item tags, or the UL tag, the HR tag, or the all the kinds of heading tags actually, or even the div tag. They all are block type. So simple, in a very simple meaning, they take up the complete width of the parent tag, and it is usually noticed that they will take the any new tag, any new block type tag you are writing down, they will take up a new line. And a very good example over here is shown that just let me just clean everything up. So over here what you can notice is nothing but, just a second, let me just bring it over here. Yes, so suppose you have a div tag, right? Over here you can notice the div tag is taking up the complete width. When it comes to inline, the inline tags are like anchor tags, or you have the bold tag, or the I is nothing but italics tag, the image tag. These types of tags will nothing but take only the specific width which is required, right? So any other tag which I write down, it will just come next to it. It won't come to the next line, but very next to it. So with that, I hope you have understood what is the difference between inline and a block type element, and it is one of the very important questions which you should be knowing answer to. With that, I will move to the next question. Okay, so this question, what is Z index? So basically, what is the Z index? It is a part of CSS, okay, and it is a part of CSS property. So this particular Z index redefines the overlapping of HTML elements. What do I mean by that? Suppose you have over here you have 4 divs, right? 4 divs. You can name them 1, 2, 3, 4. So based on the Z index, the higher the Z index of a particular element is, the top position, okay, it would be occupying. So a element with the lower Z index would be occupying the last position when we see, in these divs. I would also give you an example. Let me do one thing. Let me just quickly switch up my tab. Right. So over here, what do we see is there are actually 3 elements, right? 1, 2, and 3 elements. And these 3 elements are having a div, right? They are given a div with a class card and card1, card 2, card 3. So all of them are having one common class, which is card. To them, what is given is nothing but they are given with the height, width, border, and the position. After that, each of the card is given a different background color and a little bit of top and top left, so that they are coming one after another in this sequential manner. Over here, what do we notice? The element which was created before is at the end, and the element which is created at the last or the latest is at the top. Now suppose over here you are given a problem that you want to bring up this red color at the top. So at that point, what would you do? So simply what I'll do is nothing but I will simply go ahead and to this card, I will simply write Z index. So simply I will increase the Z index value of this to whatever, like I'll just write this down as 1. And what do we notice? So we are noticing the card which had to be supposed to be, which is supposed to be by default at the end is coming in the front because it has more Z index value. So suppose this yellow needs to be bought at the top. You can simply go ahead, write a little bigger value for Z index. Right. And yeah, the index spelling needs to be correct. And there we go. You can see the yellow card coming up at the topmost level in the layers. The reason, Z index value is highest. With that, I hope you have understood this problem. Let us move to the next question and see how to answer that particular question. And also it is recommended that whenever you are explaining anything, you explain it with code. Ask the interviewer or request the interviewer that I want to share the screen and I want to explain it. So do that. That would simply add, more clarity to what you are trying to explain. So what is this hosting in JavaScript? So hosting is one of the very important topic in JavaScript. And if you want to become a super good developer of JavaScript, you should be knowing this topic. So basically, what is hosting? Hosting is nothing but, as it is written over here, right? It refers to the behavior of moving variables and function declarations. Remember, variables and function declarations to the top of the scope. So what is a scope? We'll discuss that. Not only that, but also what does it mean that we are going to move the declarations of variables and functions to the top of the scope? During compilation phase, before the code is executed. Wait, to understand this, I would take you to nothing but a VS Code or a text editor and explain you what does it mean and what does it work? How does it work like? Also, there is one more thing which we need to note, that hosting is valid for all the data declarations. It says it is valid for all the data declarations, which is let constant var. Okay, let us see why it is written in the note. Okay, now that we have come to our text editor or the VS Code, I have quickly created over here two files, index.html having a simple h1 tag, and I have connected my JavaScript file. Now to explain you about hosting, what is the definition of hosting? As we remember, so hosting is nothing but moving up of variables and function declarations to the top of the scope. But wait, what is a scope? So there are two types of scope in JavaScript. The one is called as a global scope, which is accessible to all the variables. And there is another scope called as block scope. So anything written inside this particular block scope would be having access to the data or the variables inside the scope itself. So basically, scope is nothing but the region of access you are having. Okay. We understood what is a scope. So scope is basically nothing but the region which a particular variable can access to. Okay. Now over here, to explain you about hosting, I would be creating a variable a, and let me give it a value called as a string saying JavaScript is awesome. And indeed, JavaScript is awesome. Let me do one thing. Let me quickly console log this value, and we can see over here nothing but JavaScript is awesome. That's nice. But wait. So this is a very easy task, right? Let me just resize the screen. What if I try to access the value of this value of this variable a before declaration? So before the declaration, if I try to access it, wait, we are getting not an error. We are not getting an error. We are saying undefined. So when I try to access the variable a with a value JavaScript is awesome, I am not getting an error. I am getting undefined. Also note here that this is only possible in our awesome language JavaScript. If you try to do this in any other language, you will be getting an error, right? But over here, we are not getting an error. We are getting a value saying undefined. So what really would have happened here? Okay. So what has really happened is nothing but the declaration, the variable a declaration has actually happened in the top, meaning that in real, it is something like this written. Okay. Whatever declarations like var a we had written, it has actually moved to the top of execution by default. You don't do it by purpose, but it happens by itself. So this particular concept is called as nothing but hosting. Even if I remove this and when I try to print the value of a, obviously the value of a is not defined. Hence we are getting undefined printed. Now will this also happen in functions? Let us try that out. Let me just remove them. So I create a function over here and let me name this function as x. Oh, wait. Let me name this b. And inside this function, let me write a console log saying hello. Okay. And if I try to invoke it, guys, invoke it. Remember, don't say function call. Instead say invocate. So when I try to invocate the function b, I'm getting hello printed. But what if before I declare the function, what if I try to access it? Oh wait. Oh nice. So we are getting hello still printed. So how in real is this happening? We will also be to understand this concept, we would be also taking a very important topic called as execution context in the next questions. Okay. But for now, you can understand what has really happened. According to definition, hoisting is nothing but moving of variables or the data declarations and function declaration. So basically, this is a function declaration to the top of the scope. Though I have not written it in the top of the scope, automatically it will be moved to the top. And now when you call the invocation of this particular function, it will be invocated and you will be getting hello printed. But wait, does it happen for all the types of declarations? Because I have only shown you var. Let us try it out. So I write a const b equals to 12 and I try to console log the value of b and that gives me 12. That's perfect. Now when I try to move the value of b to the top, let us see what really happens. Oh wait. So we are getting an error over here. Reference error. Cannot access b before initialization. Do you remember me saying? Yes. So how did that, that particular note, however, over here, we can clearly see it is the value, the declaration of const is not getting hoisted. So what in real is happening? Is it actually getting hoisted or not? Even if it is getting hoisted, is let is getting hoisted? We can see reference error still. But in the case of var, we are not getting any warning. So what is happening over here? Is it still getting hoisted? Is it not getting hoisted? I would say, and we need to say that all the three are getting hoisted. Okay. This is one of the very important questions asked by a lot of interviewers and a lot of people who are just beginning with JavaScript tends to make an default or a mistake statement saying that only var is hoisted. It is not. All the three are getting hoisted. Okay. How would you say that? If you notice, when I write const b, that gives an error saying a reference error, and it says cannot access the b before initialization. So it cannot access the value of b before initialization. So it knows, my JavaScript knows that there is a variable called as b, but it is not allowing it to access it before. So in fact, even knowing that there exists a variable is called as hoisting, right? But why is it not able to take it? In the next question, we'll be taking up the answer for that. But for now, just understand this term called as temporal dead zone. Okay. We would be covering this topic, temporal dead zone, because of which let and const are not able to access the value before initialization. And also we'll be understanding about execution context, right? How really this functional, context comes at the top, or how in real this variable declarations comes at the top. What actually happens in the backend, right, of the JavaScript? We will be understanding that in these two important topics. So with that, I hope you have understood that hoisting is nothing but moving of declarations, variable declarations and function declarations to the top of the scope, which makes var, getting the value of var undefined, and const and let also undefined, but we cannot access it because of a concept called as temporal dead zone. Now, how in real these things moves at the top, we would be understanding in the concept of execution context. So with that, I will move to the next question and let us deep dive into these two topics. With that, yeah, let's go.